For more on how these new COVID-19 variants are affecting Latin America's economic outlook, my colleague Rachelle Akuffo spoke to Luke Taylor. He's a journalist reporting on the pandemic based in Bogota, Colombia. And Rachelle first asked him about the impact of COVID on already strained economies.
Economies that were suffering worse before the crisis, unfortunately, are now suffering even more. For example, Venezuela, previously in crisis, there's now massive gas shortages and other issues in terms of food. And the countries that are generally poorest have a higher informal economy, so people work in day-to-day jobs. And that means they can't work because they can't go out. So they're generally the ones who have suffered the worst of the countries that were the worst off to begin with, unfortunately.
And obviously, a lot of these Latin American countries also relied on tourism heavily as well. So for the ones that do, how has this affected them? And what, if anything, have they done to try and adapt or pivot?
Tourism has almost ground to a halt in Latin America as a result of the pandemic. Mexico really is an outlier. It's remained open and it's trying to entice tourists from North America to come and visit because it's one of the few places that's still receiving tourists without stringent measures, for example, testing on arrival. But now President Biden in the US has stated that travelers need to be tested on their return to the US. That's only going to hurt the drop in tourism even more. And it has been popular compared to other destinations, but tourism in Mexico has fallen around 50% year on year.
And what about some of these global tourism brands? Have they been much support to these struggling economies?
There have been efforts to restart tourism through advertising campaigns. For example, Mexico's tourism board and of different states in Mexico, for example, Acapulco, started advertising campaigns to entice people from the US to come and visit. But they quickly had to take one of those campaigns down because it was seen to be frivolous and encouraging a lack of prudent behavior in regard to the pandemic. So, and really the options have been limited. They're advertising and pushing for tourists to come visit, but they have to overcome the fear factor first, which is keeping a lot of visitors away.
And it really is a difficult balance to strike, and we're seeing that in a lot of countries. Something else I want to talk about is the vaccination rollout and some of the partnerships. Who are the main players in the region, and how is that progressing?
Mexico and Chile started vaccinating relatively early, but compared to North America and Europe, they really are off to a slow start with vaccinations. Colombia is not expected to start vaccinating until the end of February, for example. And also there's not enough supplies to go around, sadly. So even though they're competing for different suppliers for the Sinovac vaccine from China, and also Sputnik from Russia, AstraZeneca from the UK, they're all trying to get their hands on these different supplies, but unfortunately they're very limited in comparison to what's been allocated elsewhere in wealthier nations, for example.
And as we've seen with the US, even with these supplies, people still not being able to access the vaccines. And a lot of that is due to sort of a patchwork approach to really implementing these things at the ground level. As you look at the coordination of suppliers, trained medical staff, and managing priority groups in Latin America, how are they handling this?
It's a real mess because they have to get this rolled out as quickly as possible, but they don't have the infrastructure for storage in the case of some of the vaccines. You're talking about logistical challenges that don't exist elsewhere, for example, really diverse geographies and populations. Think people in isolated communities in the Amazon, indigenous communities, and then also you've got major cities. It's hard to execute a plan that's so logistically challenging as this. On top of that, the shortage of supplies, the lack of infrastructure in comparison to other places. It's just obstacle stacked on top of obstacle, really.
So then to that point, given everything that's happening, the pace of the rollout and the number of people that are able to access vaccines, what are your predictions for what some of these Latin American countries are going to go through for the rest of the year?
I think in the short term, things are only going to get worse before they get better in terms of tightening tourism restrictions, for example, with the US tightening restrictions. There's not much wiggle room in terms of attracting foreign visitors, so the tourism economy is going to continue suffering. With the emergence of this new variant in Manaus in Brazil, which is concerning most epidemiologists, there's going to be more travel restrictions again. and employment figures are already very high in the region. They're not going to be going back up quickly, even if strict lockdowns aren't enforced. So there's going to be more pain, and unfortunately, more people are going to slip into poverty in the short term.